welcome to Melee Stats Deep Dives, a very special Halloween edition we have for us. Gimme That Wheat could not be here. I am his evil twin. Gimme That Treat. And normally Wheat would have his friend and commentator Webs on to talk about Melee, but instead we have the scary version, spiderwebs. How you doing, spiderwebs?
Rawr.
See, normally on a normal episode of Melee Stats Deep Dives, I think the guest would say good, but in this case, I feel like my guest might say bad.
Yeah, or rawr.
Yeah, I mean, you did say rar, but I think
Yeah.
another guest could say bad.
I see. Yeah, I stand by my rawr.
Yeah. So I know Gimme That Wheat knows a lot about Melee, but Gimme That Treat knows a lot about Project M.
We're switching it over, boys. We're doing a Project M rank. 2019, we are ranking all 257 Project M players. Every single one of them. Putting them in order right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a progressive person. I will call it Project Plus. I'll give
That's right.
That little bit of satisfaction.
Fair. I actually forgot that was a distinction that needed to be drawn, so I appreciate that.
I don't know, like, I assume if you call it Project M to them, I assume they don't really care, but, like, you probably get every now and then someone in the community says, Project Plus!
Yeah.
So you probably get someone like that.
Put you in your place. You know, remind you where you are.
Yeah, and then drink a whole bottle of Mountain Dew. Not, yep. Just creating a general idea of a smasher who might do that. Maybe they play Samus, and maybe they're power ranked in both Melee and Project Plus. But there's really no way to find out who that.
Maybe
might
they play
be.
the Mountain Dew colored Samus as well.
I mean, no way to find out what that might be or who that might
mystery.
Be. It's a total mystery. Well, we got a kind of a total mystery on our hands. The mystery of how to make a podcast episode on one of the least one of the just least stuff going on in Melee Week. Oh my god.
Dry. We are devoid of Melee is what you're trying to say.
That would be a wonderful word that I'm sure Gimme That Wheat would come up with, but Gimme That Treat comes up with whatever sort of word vomit that I was able to spew into the mic.
Wasn't quite the same.
No. That's what you're missing when Gimme That Wheat takes a week off.
Well, it comes with, its own trade-offs, though. Gimme That Treat has, I'm sure, his own strengths as well.
Oh, I mean, sure.
For instance, his ability to name all 257 Project Plus players off the top of his head. Go!
Well, I mean, with Project Plus, we have to talk about it. Kind of got whittled down to 243. And a couple players who said, "Oh, I'm not playing this Project Plus bullshit."
Purists.
you have a few Project M purists out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so
the ones who still play 3.02 or 3.01, whatever that crazy version was.
Yeah, I think that was 3.02. That was where Mewtwo could do all that stuff, and then I guess every character could do all that stuff.
Yeah, it was actually one of the most interesting versions of any Smash game. It was just like everyone was very strong.
And it was so fun. So I got into the game when PM 3.02, I think was what we said. I think I got into the game right when that was popular.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so fun to see, like, to learn these players and be like, oh, this person, like, they're Ice Climbers player in Melee, but they play Game & Watch in Project M. It was so cool. It was so cool to, like, see a different side of these top players.
Yeah. That was something really cool about it was that there was so much crossover at that time, too.
Yeah. One underrated aspect that I think fighting games have that we as people who only play the same game for years miss out on is like seeing what character types and what like character changes from game to game that these top players gravitate to. I think that's like one of the most interesting things in the beginning of any new games to see like what top players pick which characters and like how long they stick with them.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
But alas, we trade that in for one of the greatest games of all time.
Inconsistency. We traded in for
Inconsistency.
a lot of consistency. Not inconsistency. Consistency. We get players who get to drive characters to their limits. We get to see an incredible game engine pressed and pushed and prodded and studied.
Yeah, we're of course talking about the Brawl engine that is then modded to be faster.
Yeah. We're Project Plus, baby. Let's go. That's the episode.
Okay, so here's an idea for a Brawl mod. This is
Mhm.
very hot right now. I think the Smash World they're asking for more Brawl mods. Tripping is the same, except once you trip, it's kind of like every stage is wet, I should say.
Okay.
Once you trip, your character then starts kind of like slipping around.
So it's like
There
you
could like
trip slowly, like you stumble a bunch and then you fall down. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think like that should be an aspect of it, and then you're kind of just like slipping around, like a slip and slide esque type of thing.
Okay.
I would say it's hard to get up, and then this is up to whoever wants to do it. Maybe throw some hitboxes on some of those. Maybe if you stumble and
Those
you get
animations.
up, maybe that's an attack.
This is actually an entirely new concept for a game you've just developed, where it's a fighting game. Maybe no, it should probably be a platform fighter.
one where people keep
Everyone
tripping.
is just clumsy. Yeah, it's just like you can't really control your character that well. It's like perfect analogy. In StarCraft Brood War, the pathing was so garbage on the units that being able to control them in an effective manner was like a very intricate and valued skill. Like it mattered so much just in navigating your army properly. So this is like the version of that for platform fighters, because your character doesn't quite move the way you want him to, so you have to adjust to that. And like, see the analogy I'm trying to draw?
Yeah, I appreciate.
I hope I don't sound like an idiot right now.
You would never. Yeah, you don't sound like an idiot when we're talking about this Brawl mod where you trip more. I would love it if like you're on the top platform and you can't drop down to the stage, or if you do, you kind of take fall damage.
Yeah, your character's just kind of weak.
The
platforms are too tall.
That's like a 2-story drop, especially Dreamland.
It's pretty far. So wait, we could actually do the math because we know the character heights, so we could figure out how many feet that is.
We could.
I'm not gonna do it right now, but I'm just saying for any enterprising listeners out there.
Yeah, this is like a perfect idea for a type of kids educational melee show.
Yeah, I could see.
It's like Mr.
Oh my God,
Rogers.
melee tutorials. That's what it was.
Yeah, SSBM tutorials.
It's SSBM tutorials.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Rogers, and whoever is that Mr. Rogers role, I will nominate Ipengu.
Okay, so I like it.
So Zane would come in, Ipengu, aka Zane.
Mm-hmm.
He would walk in, and he would, instead of changing his cardigan, he would like change the face on his controller. Like he'd take a tri-wing out. It'd be a little bit of a process. This would actually probably be most of the running time of the episode.
That'd be a good bit, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, this is
pretty niche bit.
This is content. No BTS organization can steal this. I think what summit do we get to? What number summit before every IP out in the world has been parodied by BTS?
Oof.
And then BTS has to start parodying their own parodies.
Once we start hitting like when they start doing this Sanrio themed summit, like the little frog guys, Armada, then I think we're starting to get into the territory where we're starting to run short of IPs.
I would love to see like a very self-aware remake of Crush Bateman.
Okay.
I don't know what the hook would be, because obviously Crush isn't. Hey, maybe that's the hook, is that everyone reacts the same and Crush just isn't in the scene. They cut over to him and it's an empty chair.
You don't want to do like an over the top, like you flip it, or you have like who's the guy who plays fake Mango? You just have him play Crush, and he just goes way over the top with all Crush's lines.
Well, the beauty
That'd be funny.
of Melee, and I guess specifically Summit, is it could go on for so long where we could have both of our ideas come to fruition.
That's actually true. Yeah.
It's, infinite worlds and all that. Like, everything is bound to happen at some point. I think with Summit, given enough time, every single sketch idea will happen.
Yeah.
Except
Monkey
for the one that
Typewriter.
I wrote for Summit, which will never happen.
And that would be an explicit decision by them to
I
not
can't.
include that.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
in every single reality that it will ever exist. They'll explicitly decide not to do that.
There is no it's the one exception to the every reality rule is there's zero reality where Slime takes one of your ideas and doesn't throw it in the garbage can.
Yeah. I mean, everyone else in Melee's taken all my ideas. I don't know what that means. I don't.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Call out episode.
I had one idea that I think was taken, but like, I'm
What was
glad
the idea?
I'm glad it was taken. I told PTAS, not to brag, this is before the panel that we were on at Evo 2018. I told him to do a top 100 all time for PGR for Smash 4,
Nice.
and he did it. Like, I'm happy that was done. I
Yeah.
seem very mad. I mean, I should say, give me that. We did that, of course.
Well, did you contribute to it?
No, I didn't do anything.
Okay.
I don't really know
Well,
a
then
ton about.
that's good that you gave it to him then because it came to exist. So it was a good thing you did.
Yeah,
We're all very happy
and
for
I
it.
said, hey, for the Dragon Ball Fighters PGR, for point totals, instead of saying it's 92.15, just say 9,215. Then everyone says it's over 9,000. I think that's a great idea.
That's genius. Oh my god.
I should probably get paid for that.
Yeah, that's a really good one actually.
We should mobilize the Melee Stats army to get some payment for this.
Ludwig Army.
Yeah, I forgot that Spiderwebs is a huge Ludwig fan.
He's oh god. I am a Lud Bud. Yes.
Well,
Don't sub to that man. Just watch his stream.
I'm confused as to what's going on. What happened to my show?
Yeah, we got him. Oh man, we meandered.
Well,
Should we bring it back around?
this is a meandering episode. Unfortunately, this will happen if we want fat weekends, fat with a PH. If we want fat weekends in Melee, then we're going to have skinny weekends, I guess.
True.
Skinny with an E with an accent on it.
Yeah. Sometimes you go to the sub shop and you get the pita bread instead of the cheese Parmesan dough bread.
Yeah. I mean, I passed the pita. Give me that wheat. I'm the bread man,
Yes.
grain guy, the pita person.
Okay.
I think it's all the same to me, but
True.
the
True.
tortilla tio.
Oh yes. Keep them coming. You got any more?
No, I think that's it.
All right. I'm impressed.
I think tortilla tio is too close to cultural appropriation. I could.
Yeah.
I think I should stop before
Pump the brakes.
before I get canceled. I mean, it's a race to the finish for Melee Stats to see which one of this is the first to get canceled.
Yeah. It's a race to the bottom.
It's a race to I think we all have good reasons to be canceled. I mean, I should say that.
Yeah, wow, okay.
I'm
A lot
saying
of skeletons in the Melee Stats closet, apparently.
Well, I mean, Halloween. That's the time to have the skeletons.
It's only appropriate.
Get them out of the
yeah.
closet.
Truly.
No, I'm saying, like, if you were to create a fantasy league for which Melee Stats member is going to get canceled, some kind of like a death league that some people do. Instead, it's the canceled league.
Okay, I'm with you.
I think it would. So, like, there's stuff that you could look at for a couple of the major.
So, hold on. Can we first define who are the Melee Stats members? There aren't that many of you.
There's not a ton of us.
But there can be more because I feel like there's a larger umbrella that you could cast.
It's an amorphous blob of people.
Yeah.
We talked about this. As a collective, it's kind of weird. because there's people who contribute to Melee Stats content more, and there's people who are like in that friend group. I would say to rank the people who are most cancelable, rank the territories. To rank the people who are most cancelable, I would say Edwin is probably number one.
I was gonna say Edwin as well.
I think that's a safe bet. However, I cannot, in good conscience, say that me and Save, as straight white males who talk a lot on like recording, we record our talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We record our
okay. I clearly, as evidenced, you do a lot of talky. You speak much.
You can tell I record my talk a lot.
Yeah.
I think any straight white man that you get to talk enough, his cancelable rate goes up.
It's true.
So I mean, Save streams a lot. He's a person. He's always out there with the ranking show, and I think he net plays now.
Puts himself in the public eye.
But that also means like there's a little more time to slip up. Who knows? So he's probably high up there. I'd say why not? Put me up there. I think we had a discussion at the last Genesis, and Melee Stats went over who would be the most, what we would get canceled for. It was a good time. All of them were very benign. I said I would get canceled because I like to hug my friends when I'm drunk.
Okay, I could definitely, yeah.
Wait.
You would probably hug someone who you thought was a friend. We'd be out on the street, and then it would turn out to be like a police horse.
Yes.
And things would just go from there.
Oh, you're not chilling, dude.
What?
I don't think that should be read into as any sort of insult. I don't even know. That would be a great insult to call someone fucking police horse.
Police horse.
There'd be so many questions.
Muscular, loyal.
I mean, hey, if someone called me a police horse, I'm not a police horse. I would respond right away to that.
You get really high-pitched voice.
I would get.
What are you talking about?
Look, man, I'm not a police horse.
Yeah, you gotta believe me, man. Yeah. All right.
So,
speaking of police horses,
do you want to police this conversation?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's stop horsing around. But,
oh my
that
god,
works too. Yeah.
Both so good.
Yes.
Well,
we'll accept either answer.
Yeah, I mean, check as many as apply. So we are talking about Halloween. No, we are talking about Melee. But yeah,
wait,
what was that?
It snowed 4 inches today on Halloween in Chicago.
That's scary.
Oh, it's terrifying. And yet the scariest thing of all was that we still had spooky little children come to the door and ask for candy.
That's fun.
No, it was spooky.
Yeah.
Little specters gliding out amongst the snowfall.
I was talking to coworkers about this, where I live in the sleepy Philadelphia suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And you live in the sleepy Chicago suburbs.
True, yeah.
It was like it was hotter than it was recently. I would say probably about 70 degrees or so.
Yeah.
I was telling the coworkers, that is perfect Halloween weather. You want the rest of Halloween, you want October to feel crisp, you want to feel a little cold, you want to wear a jacket, but on Halloween itself, crank that heat up outside. God.
Yeah, the Lord.
Can the Lord, oh, by the way, give me on our spooky versions of ourselves, love the Lord.
Yeah, we're all about it.
That's the only difference between give me that treat, give me that wheat.
Yeah, well, and I only love the Lord in the context of weather.
Yeah, I love the weather lords.
Yeah.
I say a little hotter because when I was a kid, if I'm walking around as Goku with his tail, the monkey tail,
mm-hmm.
I was very specific about that as a kid. If I'm walking around as Goku with his monkey tail, I don't want to put on a jacket because Goku didn't wear a jacket.
That's true. You're not true to the form. You're not true to the material.
I was very mad. I mean, I'm sure that you had different experiences as, growing up in the sleepy Chicago suburbs
Yeah, it was quite sleepy.
than I did in my sleepy Philadelphia suburbs.
Which one do you think was sleepier?
Well, Chicago's closer to the North Pole. It got darker earlier.
True.
I would have to say Chicago.
All right, a little bit, just a little bit. We take our naps.
Big.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. When you eat a big slice of pizza with a fork and you take a nap.
I gotta tell you, I can't remember a Halloween that had nice weather here in Chicago. It's just been rough the last decade.
And that's why we were on this podcast episode. We were trying to brainstorm a way to bring, in one day, warm weather to Chicago.
All right, got any ideas?
I don't really know how global warming works, but I think we could just burn a couple plastic bottles and hope that helps.
That sounds good. Yeah, let's give it a shot.
I mean, worst case scenario, we're missing a couple bottles in the world, right? Like
that is the worst case scenario. Yeah,
I don't
You've
see any
described
other
it perfect.
downside. Some guy might be like, "Hey, where'd my bottles go?" And I think that's the worst that could happen.
I had to sacrifice them.
That's why I
In the
don't
name
burn
of a
plastic
warm
bottles, is because it's
Halloween.
rude to the people who own the bottles.
Yeah, truly. Someone's gonna miss those bottles.
Yeah. I was just trying to say, perfect weather for Halloween is when you don't have to wear a jacket. But I'm sure they have perfect weather like that in SoCal. And we'll have to ask Ginger his thoughts, because he, a Michigan native, definitely was wearing jackets when he was trick-or-treating. Or at least should have been in his sleepy Detroit suburb.
I don't think he grew up in a sleepy Detroit suburb.
Well,
hey, for the purposes of this show, I'm sure he did. In this alternate Halloween version of Ginger, which would be,
yeah, this is a tough one.
Gingerbread man.
Yeah, there's a
Wrong holiday.
yeah, it is. Well, we'll figure something out.
All right.
What about Cavery Wilson? Caves are kind of scary.
Yeah, I don't know. I was more excited for that in the first second of hearing it.
Yeah.
You kind of fooled me, and then I was like, oh, it's actually not that good.
It's really not. You have to, explicitly state that a cave is scary.
Yeah. Scary Cavery Wilson.
I kind of like that. But yeah, so he has definitely spent a couple of his Halloweens, that Halloween season in Michigan. Yeah, we're seeing him. He's spending them in the sleepy Los Angeles suburbs. Because we saw him at a Fight for SoCal this weekend.
Yes, Fight for SoCal. A very, very stacked Fight for SoCal at that.
Sure. This was a normal Fight for SoCal to me. I think.
Okay, I just like to hype up tournaments, okay?
Well, I mean, we said it. You got to have the skinny weekends to balance out the fat
All right,
weekends.
true. Might as well just be honest about it.
That's all I ask for you is honesty.
Okay.
How's my outfit, by the way? Does it make my butt look big?
Do you want to hear that from spiderwebs or webs?
One sentence from each.
Okay. Web says, what outfit? Because we're on a Discord call and I can't see you. And spiderweb says, you look hideous.
Okay, well.
Which is a compliment because it's Halloween.
It's Halloween, yeah. Give me that wheat, but not like that. But give me that treat, loves it.
All right.
Well, I mean, we should talk. We can't see each other, but we are both dressed up in very spooky melee-related costumes.
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, am the barrel from Congo Jungle 64.
Oh, I thought you were dressed as Ice.
Ice is dressed as me.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. You had the original look.
I have the original look of a white man with long hair and facial hair. It's never been done.
You guys look similar.
If Ice starts wearing glasses, I think he's trying to replace me.
Yeah, it's over for you. I'm going to come out of the next episode and Ice is just going to greet me from Germany.
It could be like Melee Stats Deep Dives is so popular that they're creating alternate versions for the international viewers. The Office, of course, started as a UK show, and we obviously know that. And the US show, The Office: An American Workplace, super well known. What we don't know is that there's still more offices out there that were created for international audiences.
Yeah, like the Transylvania one.
I think there's a French Canadian one.
Like actually,
I believe so.
Quebecois.
C'est possible.
So, whoa. Very nice.
But yeah,
So did you want to talk about Fight for SoCal at all?
well, there's not a ton to talk about.
Okay, cool.
I
Moving
wanna-
on.
I want to be honest here. Well, so Ginger out at 7th place.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to guess who he lost to?
I watched the tournament.
Okay. Oh, so you should have a good time guessing.
Yes. He lost to
Do you want me to give you their spooky names so that you can figure it out from there?
I can't believe I can't remember either of them. I just wanted to remember one of them, and it's blank because one of them I was surprised by.
Okay. One is Bimbo,
Oh, right. Okay.
and then the other one is Kodorin.
Okay, Kodorin was the one that I
Or
was not
Kodorin
surprised
is what
by.
some people say.
Yeah. Can we get clarification from the man himself?
I'll have him
Should I
on.
just tweet at him?
Yeah, we'll get the notification back.
Just call him on Discord right now. Just add him to the call.
Patch him in. Kodorin, we could do something like that, like a squeaky door. I think that's kind of scary.
Ooh.
Cause squeaky
Should I make the
door-
noise? Can I do it?
Yeah. And then it's opening back up.
You want me to do the noise again?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a different noise if it's opening and if it's closing.
Wait, what are you talking about? Why is it? I thought you just opened it once. Why are we opening and closing it?
Well, if you open it, it makes a different noise than if it's closed.
Why? But why is it closing?
I don't know, the ghosts.
No.
It's a Halloween episode.
No. Ghost just leaves the door open.
Oh,
That's what's spooky. You walk in and go, oh my god, I had this door closed. How is it open now?
yeah, I guess.
I'm
so.
not making the noise again. I already put myself out there by making it the first time.
Well,
You would ask me that.
all right. Well, the reason why we're having this argument is because I'm saying specifically, I'm not asking for you to make the noise again. I'm asking for you to make a separate noise. It's like when you send a text and it goes, and it's a different one than if you receive a text. It's just
So, all right, I'll do a door closing noise then right now. You ready?
yes, please. Wow, there's some force there.
Slammed it at the end because I'm mad. That's why.
I'm sure Ginger was mad getting out of 7th place, losing to Kador and
He had some positive tweets afterwards. He said wasn't really feeling the competition, which is fair. Some days you're just out of it.
yeah, actually,
Both players that he beat to are both rapidly rising players. I guess Bimbo much less rapidly, but like he has made marked improvement.
well, yeah.
over the last
So
year.
it's interesting. So Bimbo's rise, he went from unranked, he was not top 100, and then he got, I believe he's the 40th best player in the world. Or I think
Yeah.
he's even 39th. I think Casey
Oh, did he
might be
sneak
40th.
inside the top 40?
There's no way to know.
Wow.
There's literally no way to find that information out.
Do you think my hands are being removed from behind my head right now as I recline in my computer chair? Absolutely not.
Your skeleton hands.
Yeah.
All right, I guess a mixed metaphor. Your spider legs. Yeah. So like Bimbo, obviously he had a lot of great showings really early in the year. Like he had Genesis where he beat Bananas. He had Save You Mr. Lombardi, where I believe is that where he beat both Esfat and Ginger. I know he has wins on both of them before.
I don't remember if it was that tournament. It was some SoCal tournament where he popped off.
I really want to say it's that tournament.
Yeah, that sounds right. So we'll go with it.
Yeah, so like he's not incredibly surprising for to like show that really good win of having a Ginger win, but this is like Kodorin's best win outside of outside of like a SoCal ranked player, I should say.
Yeah.
So this is really good for him. This is like him. I guess his resume outside of locals is not that great. He really hasn't attended a ton. He beat Bobby Big Balls at Shine. Then he went Game 5 with KJH and ended up losing after taking a game off of HBox. And then he went Game 5 with Fat Goku at Main Stage.
Yeah.
It's just like
He's been close.
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely do it. Like, this was a Game 5 win that he had. So it's good to see him finally be able to clutch it versus a top player. I think he's just one of those people who like fell into the trap of getting really good at locals, and then he got good seeding, and then he didn't have to upset people because the seeding was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't really run
Seeding
into
does
that.
matter in that regard,
Yeah.
especially when you're an he's I don't know if this is necessary. He's not really an insulated player, but we just see him so much locally. He just goes to everything at UCI,
Yeah.
and he's had such good results there that he sticks out pretty.
Well,
Sorely.
like, so compare this to someone. Hey, use Ginger as an example. Ginger, when he did his ballot last year, he didn't look at local results at all, which to an
No.
extent I think is fine. I am in the idea that
You shouldn't have to use locals, right? You should aim to not use them if you can, but they're
well,
still like results.
so here's how I describe it, which is
All
super.
right.
This is very fitting for the
Mm-hmm.
spooky, time of the year. Majors, those are the bones of the ranking.
That's the solid. That's where you get your best indicators.
You should base everything off of majors, and I guess you can lump like big regionals in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
The top 20 tournaments of the year, whatever, the most stacked 20 tournaments, 25
gotcha.
tournaments, etc. That's the bones. That's what you're going to base your rankings off of. And then the muscles and everything that you're building on after, those are the locals. It's like it's not going to be the foundation, but it's going to be something there. I'm getting halfway through this. I'm not really sure what the metaphor is, but
I'm gonna let you just keep going. Are you done, or is
the
there
skin is net play.
more?
Because you need skin to survive.
True.
So I would say you need net play to survive.
Don't agree with that.
The hair,
Mm-hmm.
friendlies, but it's when it's like 3 a.m. and it's Game & Watch Donkey Kong.
Just keeps you warm.
That's what
Makes-
the hair.
makes you
Right,
feel
it's to
warm,
style
right?
yourself.
Just okay, yeah, that works too.
So that's the bone, muscles, skin, and hair of
And this
rankings
is-
in my mind.
All puts together the body of rankings.
The body of rankings. And this is the stuff that you won't find on the ranking show. I know that Save Us Title, he loves to talk about rankings. Hey, he has ever shied away from this. I don't know if he... I mean, I was going to say, I don't know if he doesn't know it. Obviously, he knows it. He's just probably too afraid to bring the truth to the masses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, like, you should always look at majors to determine what a player's worth is, or like, how good they are. And then locals only... Like they're not gonna bring you up very high or very low from your initial, like when you initially look at the majors, but it
Right.
can affect like Kodorian's a great example. He got good results at main stage and shine, but like probably not someone who would be 100% top 100 if he just went to those. If you're just looking at those. And then you look at Fight for SoCal. Obviously, Fight for SoCal, he's been able to have some pretty okay wins. And then you look at locals and the wins that he has over Squid that are like fucking 30-2 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of weird to just completely not take a look at locals. But also, like, I understand not using them to a large extent.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you just my brief overview of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Is that I don't feel like you should be looking at locals for players who are like top. I don't even want to put a number on it, but like you get to a certain point where you see players really consistently just at like regionals and nationals, and you don't even have to think about them in a local setting. But when you get lower in the rankings and you start to see less data points, you can turn to locals a little bit. You still want to be careful doing it at that point. For like, I'm talking about, these are players who probably fall anywhere between like 40 and like 60. It's tough to say this year because of how activity has changed this year based on versus previous years. So it's hard to put exact numbers on any of this. But in past years, it's kind of fallen into that area. And so you can look, if they attend a lot of locals, you can compare them based on how they do versus other players who who you will see on the larger scene or at regionals at least. And again, not great indicators, but better than nothing. And you're probably not going to be shifting people around too much based on that, but it is a helpful point as far as reinforcing, like the way you might feel about someone.
Yeah.
And once you start getting into that territory, I don't think about it as a manner of punishing the players for doing poorly at locals, but instead rewarding the players who are consistent at like proving themselves at locals. Like the perfect example is you just brought up Kodorin's massive record against Squid. I'm not gonna hold that against Squid. Like it's 30-2. It's not really a massive difference between 15-2. Like it's yeah. I don't look at it and be like, oh man, he's getting absolutely destroyed. I just go, okay, like look at how consistent Kodorin is winning over Squid. That's a massive point in Kodorin's favor. And I don't really think about it from Squid's perspective at all. It's more of a point for Kodorin than against Squid.
It's interesting. So yeah. I want to mention before any SoCal nerd gets on my case. I don't know if it's 30-2. I know he's
okay. That's just an example.
He is very positive, and I know. I think in the SoCal PR ranking period, I think it was like 10-1, and I know it was positive before that period started. But yeah, I actually talked about this on last week's episode because Stude and I were talking about Bananas having so much to lose when he went to the Texas Summit because like everyone there is good against him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned how at a local, like if you're S2J who loses to Mega Christmas or something, or I guess we can even talk about something that happened this week. We can talk about how Null beat Fiction. Like that doesn't make me think less of Fiction. I'm not saying he's not in contention for top 10 anymore, but it makes me think a lot of Null.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you get to the extent where that, like the pendulum swifts very good in the favor of the less top player. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're struggling with the words.
My brain is dying. But if you look at a record and it seems very favorable of the lower ranked player, that does kind of give me some hesitation on the higher ranked player if they are going to, if they're top 50 like Squid is recently ranked.
It gives you hesitation?
Yeah, because
I see but if the lower ranked player doesn't have results outside of that, it's hard for me to, because you can't like say, oh, like I'm gonna mark this, like let's say that Kodorin was only just beating up on Squid and like just going to locals and doing well at locals, losing a face roll. I think actually he did take a set off face roll.
He did take a set off a face roll.
That's pretty impressive. That's crazy. I think that's the first time that happened, right?
He took one earlier this year, which I think he said it's like 50-2, some shit like that. He said at one point he lost track of how many times face rolls beating him in a row. And considering they play all the time at this was at a UCI local. They play all the time at UCI locals, and they both attend like training mode Tuesdays, etc., etc. But yeah,
all right.
Go on.
Well, this is actually, you've introduced an even deeper element to what I'm trying to say now. I'm not going to go crazy into it. So, let's say Kodorin was only in region, and he had just been beating up on Squid, and Faceroll had just been beating up on him. Then I think that does at least reinforce maybe a case for marking against Squid, but only in that specific instance where you can measurably, like, not only look at the records and see how things have gone between them, but then you can also compare Faceroll and Squid too. You get a third data point there.
Yeah, so, that's true. I just want to mention
it's more trend based, I would say, instead of just like
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You're not looking at like, wow, you were 20-1 with that person who's like barely, they're in the bottom half of the PR. Well, I guess you'll drop a couple spots. It's more like, oh, you lose 60% of the sets with this person. Yeah. Maybe that's a little rough. But yeah, I think it's not something that I really put too much thought into. But like, look at someone like Bananas. Bananas, I looked it up recently. This is all of the Monday night melees in this ranking period. So this is about 10, 11 months of data at this point. And I think he's nearly even with SFOP, Billy, SDJ, Billy Bo Peep, that is, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
SDJ, and Uncle Mojo. I think he is technically positive, but each one, it's like 4-3 with Billy, 9-8 with S-Pop, 12-11 with Uncle Mojo, etc. It's like, I think he's technically even, but is so close. And I don't know, like, at what extent do I look at a person's ranking and I'm like, well, you're losing a lot of locals.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I,
we'll get into
you only
that.
really want to bring locals into it when you need to, anyway.
I would say so. That's not like,
Yeah,
I'm not putting him in a
it's
different
the
tier.
smallest data point.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But I just, we got into this kind of little sidebar, but this is all in the way of saying that it's really good for Kodorin to have a good win outside of a local.
Yeah, definitely.
Because his local, without, if you take locals out completely, he's such a good player, whose results kind of look a little weird. They don't look too great, which is why I say there's talk about not having locals counted at all. Which I'd say, if you don't want to count locals, we can't do a top 100.
Especially this year.
Especially
no
this
way.
year, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
there's no way that a top 100 would be anything close to correct, if it were not local based. Do a top 50 if you don't want to include locals.
I was gonna say I'd be down to go to a top 50, but it's too late to go to a top 50 now.
I think
Like, that's something you announce like halfway through the year.
yeah,
Right?
top 100 is a really great thing for so many players.
I think so. I wouldn't want to move it down to 50 either.
Yeah,
It's just a matter of if the scene shrinks to such a position.
yeah, it's definitely something. Like, at what point do we decide to redo this? But like, if we were to be top 50, it would probably be like 2013, right?
What do you mean?
Like, when Tafo started this, 2013 was probably easier to make a top 50 than top 100 than it is now.
Oh,
right?
I see. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, top 100 is great, but like, I think that if you want to top 100 and you want it to be kind of close to like a good list, you have to include locals. Yeah, we were in the Melee Stats podcast Discord server, which the link is in the description. We had a really good chat about like the Mewtwo King situation where he wants to not be ranked,
Mm-hmm.
which is
A good chat is one way to put that discussion.
yeah. Well, so like, our fans, it's no surprise that we have overlap with Save As Entitled. Save As Entitled had a weird part of his video. I don't know if this might be a Save As Entitled first, where he put his face in a normal video and he said, "I want to talk about this," and he talked about how we can't. Yeah, it was a watershed moment in Melee history.
Yeah, surely it'll be marked for generations to come.
Book of Melee 2 will
reveal.
start with this.
Oh God, I hope so.
But yeah,
Oh,
so so he talks about how it's a slippery slope to rank people, or to abstain from ranking people just because they don't want to, because then suddenly it's going to open the floodgates for a lot of top players to say they don't want to be ranked in a year where they maybe didn't do so well, and then because of that we get a worse top 100. And I'm saying, if that's what you care about, if you care about the quality of the top 100 that gets put out, then you shouldn't say that local shouldn't be counted.
Agreed.
Because if you are doing a top 100 right now, like, Kodorin might not be top 100 if you don't count locals. Like, it depends on how you view Fight for SoCals, which are relatively small, but pretty stacked in terms of talent. But like, there's a lot of good players who I think they have good results, but their great local results puts that into context. There's like so many players who will go.
Dude, context. Thank you. That's the perfect word. That's how I try to think about it with locals. It's just like, it's an additive. It helps color or characterize a player's year.
Yeah. Let me know about this person who got 49th losing to two good players. Like, let me know how this person is. And you can look at locals, and I think it does that.
Yeah, it totally does.
But yeah, so we're kind of talking about some scary stuff, and we're, I think the idea of a top player asking not to be ranked is kind of scary.
It's just well, it's not unprecedented. Hasn't it happened?
That's a good question. So there have been players who have been eligible who have not been ranked. Mostly it's for other
Alternate
reasons.
reasons. Yeah. Okay.
But like, so an example I guess you could use is, what if you had a player who like retired, and then they're retired, they're only going for fun, and then they actually hit the requirement of 3 events or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of weird. Like, this is obviously not in the same situation that Mewtwo King is. Mewtwo King is going to events. He is going to compete. He's going to win. And he thinks that he is not doing well enough to necessitate him being on a rank. But yeah, I think other players are just like what if Dark goes to 3 events?
Oh man.
I mean, he'd be eligible, but what if he's like, yeah, no, I don't want to? Or I guess you can even pick someone who maybe is more notable and like more recent.
How about like Dart? Let's say Dart goes to
Yeah. Well, like someone who might be
higher ranked.
Yeah, like, and imagine a world where Duck, instead of going to Genesis and Full Bloom and like doing really well, what if he just like went to fuck around and go Sheik?
I see. So his results are just like
Yeah.
booty.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's eligible.
But he's
so,
eligible.
Like, what do we do? Okay.
Yeah. So I would say there are situations where
Yeah.
it could be okay to not rank a person.
It's definitely not a black and white issue.
No.
It's not cut and dry. It's not. Let's see, what other analogies can we get in there?
So, I think we talked about this a little bit in private, but I wanted to hear something from the Melee Stats podcast Discord server. Specifically, I wanted to hear Save's reason, because like we said, he went over this on his video, but I wanted to hear from anyone who shared his opinion, which seemed to be a lot of people. A lot of people shared the opinion that if Mewtwo King is not ranked, if you allow him as a person in the scene to not be ranked, then you are enabling him, because it would mean that more top players will say that they wouldn't be dropped. And I was just looking for anyone to tell me, like I said, give me a reason why he shouldn't be ranked, and everyone gave me that reason. All I needed was for one person to say, don't do it because it's dumb, or don't do it because you're giving it to top players. Like,
yeah,
it is not his decision to make.
Right, exactly. This is what I was saying to you. It's the same thing. It's like, why is it even a discussion? Like, and the way that PTAS put it was perfect. Was like, it's just up to the balloters anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be on. Like, you can make your case to them, I guess. But at the end of the day, they're just gonna rank you or they're not gonna rank you. It's just how it goes.
Like, I think there are legitimate reasons for being eligible and for denying being ranked. I think this is not a legitimate reason. And it falls in the larger umbrella of Mewtwo King just trying to get whatever shit he wants to work. Like,
yeah.
I talked about this.
He's not malicious by it either. I think he just does it because he just knows he can get away with it.
No, I would hope that if he were more malicious, that the Melee community would probably oust him.
Yeah.
I say probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's not malicious, but it's too many top players say whatever they want, and it's all in their own self-interest, and they've got their horde of fans who will just back them up on anything.
Yeah, it's a delicate thing because it's difficult to say what's going on with everyone.
It is. I mean, I talked about this.
There's always more to it,
Yeah. I talked about this with Stu. So, like, I talked about how the idea of Mewtwo King asking for sub goals is kind of weird to me, and not because he's asking for sub goals to go to an event. Stu mentioned that. I think that's a great reason to do a sub goal. Going to an event that you would not be going to otherwise, like Stu mentioned, and like top players mentioned, is that top players say that when they go to events that they could be making the same amount of money, and if not more, by streaming. They lose money by going to events sometimes.
Well, I mean, I remember that being the exact initial justification for when Mango started sub-goaling events.
Yeah.
I remember that just being explicitly the reason. It was like, yeah, I mean, I'll go to the event, I'm down, but I'll make up for it.
Yeah. So, like, I think sub-goaling is the most acceptable form of top players asking for shit.
Sure.
But I was trying to explain to Stu that I didn't like the way that Mewtwo King was sub-goaling, because he was sub-goaling to enter Melee at events that he was already going to.
Oh,
Now,
I was not aware of that.
so I mentioned that, I don't want to kind of underwrite the fact that Mewtwo King said that he feels depressed. I think that obviously no one can speak for that except for him, and the pressure that is put on you when you are a top Melee player to perform in Melee is probably more than the pressure that it is for him to play Ultimate. So like,
I feel like there's more expectation for Mewtwo King certainly when it comes to playing Melee.
yeah, of course. So if
Yeah.
like, there could be a situation where he goes to an event and he, needs the extra push to enter Melee. But man, if it doesn't feel weird to me that you are going to this event already, but you're asking for more subs to enter Melee, that seems a little weird to me. And then guess what? So he hit a sub goal, and we were going to see him at Overlords of Orlando, October Lords.
I was going to correct you.
It is Overlords of Orlando, colon, October Lords, I believe is how it is in Smash UJ.
Yeah, the full branding.
And he DQs out of Melee and gets 49th in Ultimate or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's like I said. This stuff used to bother me when it came to Melee, but I like Melee. There's no centralization or consistency in events.
Yeah,
that's my new catchphrase. If I had you pull a string out of the back like a Woody doll in Toy Story, I would just say that over and over again. Melee has no consistency in events. Right. Melee has no centralization of events. Just over and over again.
It's good merch.
Yeah, I mean, it would sell. It would move units. But there used to be an illusion, or not even an illusion. There was actually a if not centralization, at least a common collective that was working towards the growth of Melee. And there was so much just organic growth over the last 5 years that it was easy for people to join in on that. And now that is kind of falling apart. Like, we never got a circuit put together. We never got like any kind of like season, because that was always how you would stabilize the situation. You can have a scene and it can exist in a purely scattered grassroots sense, and that's how Melee will exist most likely unless something changes going forward, and that's fine. I think it's awesome, but it's more, I think about it in terms of Melee being like a hobby. It's not like there's a central body that controls things, and people still operate from this perspective or this view like there is like a way to tie all of the already existing pieces of Melee, tournaments, I don't know, the players union, just like being able to like systemize it or whatever, put it into some kind of structure. And while I'm not saying it's impossible, we're so far from it. It's like, at the moment, it's a hobby. It's just what Melee is. Like, a few fortunate people who have worked very hard and very much love this hobby are able to take it to that top level and make it work for them full time and travel to tournaments and stuff. But beyond that, it's for most people, I don't know most, but I mean, yeah, for most people, it's a social thing. It's a hobby. It's what they do. They choose to do with their time.
I mean, I think it's like, if you just look at it, any game that is as big as us has developer support, and not every game has developer support. Like, I guess, but you could say the size issue is so different, and we're kind of in this weird zone where if Melee were less popular, I think that there would be a lot less upheaval about stuff like this.
Definitely.
And if it were more popular, it's probably more likely that we would have some sort of organization. But as it stands right now, like, we're not the anime game that's just happy to be there like at any tournament, right? We're not like the weird, melty blood type thing. Where it's just like, do you think multiplayer players like complain about their infrastructure of tournaments?
No, dude, those guys play Melty Blood like in parking lots and stuff.
Yeah, they're just probably happy to
They
play.
complain about the parking garage structure that they're inside of. Yeah, they just love their damn game. I mean, it's just. I'm not saying melee players don't love their game. We love our game. Look at us. Look how long we've been playing it.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we're just like
we
so
expect
close.
so much more. Yeah, we have this like because of the size and the scale and the way that we've grown over the last several years, and you see these big name sponsors, and you see the same people at tournaments over and over again. There's this illusion of structure that just doesn't exist.
Yeah. I hope he goes to a different tournament with his sub goal.
I think he's planning to.
Okay, I'm just saying that.
I heard something about that. Yeah.
I don't want to come off. I said this 2 episodes in a row, because I said it before he dropped out about how it's kind of a little weird, and then I just wanted to say, "Oh, hey, he did drop out," so I was right in thinking that was a little weird. I don't want to come off as like a person who's super against him, but yeah, this is an omen more so than him not being ranked. I guess is like I don't really care about that. I think it's kind of ridiculous to say that like if he doesn't get ranked, then everyone won't want to get ranked.
Yeah.
And suddenly our rank will be like, I'll be on there, and I'm not good. Like I think it's unfair to use that as an example when it's probably more fair to be like the scarier.
It's not a pragmatic example. It's not like a practical example.
Yeah. The scarier thing that Mewtwo King is doing that could be a portent of things to come would be him sub-goaling events for specific like events at specific games at a tournament, or him, like we said, just generally like the idea in a macro situation of him asking for something like this and then people giving in.
Yeah, he's been asking for things forever.
He has. Top players. They ask for a lot of stuff, and they get a lot of what they ask for.
Well, it's... I don't know. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But all I want to say to people is that you need to take a step back and observe the situation more carefully in the future before you start thinking too grandiose.
Uh-huh.
I love Melee, but it is a hobby.
Yeah, it is. How okay? I have a question to stay basically on top players. How do you feel when top players comment about like explicitly like rule set changes? So it is Halloween, and the scariest tweet that I saw from Halloween was Axe was like, "I'm having a great Halloween," and then I remember that Genesis has wobbling does not have wobbling band, and it's like, man. What imagine if the real life equivalent of this is like Chrissy Teigen, and she tweets, "I had a great Halloween," and then I remembered that insert Democratic candidate's name here wants to raise my taxes.
It's like you're putting pressure directly on someone.
You shouldn't listen to the big celebrities about the stuff. They're not the ones running the scene. Axe is not the one who's running the scene.
Yeah.
But it's hard because they have the biggest fan bases.
That's what I'm saying. They're directly putting pressure on someone when
exactly.
And Axe has a vested interest in wobbling being banned because he gets wrecked by wobblers.
Yeah, I mean, as a very specific
wobblers.
Yeah, that's a very specific example.
Pretty egregious example in this instance.
But like even Leffen has argued for $20 entry at majors or $20
so much
events. I think that any top player, which they all love to do this now, like they all love to say that more money should be coming from the scene, which I've railed on in the past.
I can't stand that.
It's like this is a short-term solution to a long-term problem.
Exactly.
And you asking for more money now, it's like, what if I wanted to go
short-sighted?
Yeah. Like imagine that baby's first major, you want to go to Genesis,
Hmm.
And the thing when new people get into the scene, like the overlap between Ultimate and Melee, and Melee and Smash 4 when that was around,
Hmm.
the overlap of that was most likely people who went 0-2, 1-2, 2-2. Like they
I'd
weren't.
have to see the stats on that, but you're probably not wrong. I mean, that's the majority of like these people who go to tournaments don't do well and just like have a fun weekend. That's
Yeah,
the only tournament they're going to, so they likely play more than one game. They're probably going to enter more than one game.
yeah. I mean, obviously, there's players who are able to do well in both, but I would say that it would make more sense for the largest percentage of those players to not make it out of pools in either game.
Here's okay. I don't have a lot to say about this in particular because I feel like it's such a dumb idea on even the surface level. It doesn't warrant much discussion.
There's so many top players who are asking for it,
I
though.
don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me that so many people are. I driving back from Big House, I actually got an argument with Parzival about this too. He
Ooh.
wanted $30.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Dude, you're
I was
asking
like,
like
this guy's out of his mind.
you're
What the
asking
fuck?
children to pay like $90 so they can enter like Ultimate and Melee and a doubles for either one or like 64 or whatever.
$30.
That is nuts.
Yeah. Um. Okay, but I mean, just like very basic. So at a Big House, we got like what? How many people? Like 900 people entered Melee.
Yeah.
How many of those people do you think were nearby? Right? Like how many of them were local people? Not the majority. So most of the people had to pay for travel and lodging and all this other stuff. And then you're gonna ask that if they want to come on their trip, well, okay, you want to enter more than one event and make the most out of your weekend. Well, each event now is gonna have the price raised by X amount, and
Yeah.
it's just so much extra.
I think like
These are not the people that you should be asking to prop the scene up further. Like that's not a sustainable plan in any way, shape, or form. It's just I don't know. I hate the fact that I'm even talking about it right now.
well, I apologize.
It's okay.
No, but I think like people will say, well, if you're paying for a hotel and you're paying for a flight and you're paying for all these amenities,
They'll go, oh, it's not that much more. Is what they'll
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
right?
But in my mind,
It's the principle of it too.
yeah, I mean, like if you're trying to plan for a tournament and then you are putting it all in your cart on Smash GG, right?
Mm.
Like that's kind of deterrent when you're like, oh yeah, I'll just go to a tournament because me myself, when I think about going to a major, my costs it's all flight and hotel. That's all I care about.
Yeah, you just kick it.
But then I look at it, I'm paying a lot of money to actually enter the event, to just be there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So like I can imagine if you are someone who's like, I found a great deal on a flight, I know a couple people who I can split a hotel room with, and then you sign up for a couple events that you want to go to, and suddenly it's like, why am I paying $150 to go to
That's
this?
true. That is actually a good point. It's a psychological thing. It's like how when you check out on websites, they'll obscure or make small like they obviously give you all the information for how much you're paying, but it's not front and center. It's not like the largest thing.
It's the $20 plus $4.99 shipping versus $24.99 with free shipping.
Yeah, there's psychology.
Or it's like how I will do horrible timed flights to save money, and then I will spend that same difference in money to like get a window seat, I guess.
I think
I'll do like the upgrade after I've already bought the whole flight, like the day of. I'm like,
they
they're
get
like,
you at the second round.
oh, they're like check in for your flight, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to sit in the middle, all the way in the back.
Right. So that looks like a terrible spot.
Yeah, so I'll just pay the same difference that I would to fly at a normal hour.
I guess the whole thing is a matter of perspective too, because like not 10 minutes ago I was talking about how melee is a hobby, right? So clearly in my eyes, there's these people who love this and they've put all this work into it.
Yeah.
And I respect them for that and what they've accomplished. These top players, they are incredible at the game. And I love seeing the game pushed to its limit, but it's a matter of I see it as like you are asking all these people, who are already have contributed so much to helping the scene just by virtue of not only being a contributor and watching, which is a massive thing, like just watching and paying attention to Melee is just huge as far as growing. But then also these people, they play the game, they come to the tournaments, they buy merchandise at the tournaments, they all do all those kinds of stuff. These are the everyday folks. These are the people who they are the reason why the scene truly exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wrong. I see it as a wrong task for that.
I
I just can't vibe with it. I can't.
I think
vibe check, and then a thumbs down. That from the
yeah.
What's that movie? The Coliseum one where he does
Gladiator.
the thing. Yeah, Gladiator. Yeah,
Thumbs down from Gladiator. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's the vibe check, Jeff.
Vibe check for $20 at majors. I would say Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator. Vibe check for HBox, suggesting that viewers should pay money for events. I say Joaquin Phoenix in Joker. Because motherfucker's a clown for thinking that.
Yeah, that was. I mean, like, can we just move on from that now that we brought that up?
Yeah, I mean, I have the tweet pulled up where he.
Oh, you're ready to go.
He calls it the box clause, which is one of the most.
What?
It's one of the most HBox things that I can think of. Is like naming it after yourself when you probably spent more time thinking of the name than you did the actual concept. Like, this doesn't feel like it was actually like worked out in any capacity. Like, I think this was first draft, best draft mentality.
And he got a lot of impressions on that tweet, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got almost 1K
That's what I'm
likes.
talking about. You get those impressions, baby.
250 people who are responding to it. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, my God. Look at the numbers. Just look at them.
Some juicy numbers. Everyone's drooling over these numbers.
Undoubtedly.
But yeah, so he suggests, and we should talk about this because I think that there might be some people, probably not the nerds who listen to this, but like I guess in the scene, they probably don't think that paying for a major is a bad idea if the money goes to the prize pot. Mm-hmm. So he's saying if you had to pay $1 for the entire event, entire weekend, to watch a major tourney stream, knowing that that dollar would go directly to the prize pool. And he asks, and 69% of people say they would pay. Which is fine to me if we had 4 events a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly it becomes an issue of like, well, how many events would you do this with? And also, like, logistically, how does that money get to the tournament?
Yeah.
This is a dumb idea.
Yeah. So 69% of how many people who voted on that?
Almost 20,000 people.
All right.
Damn, those impressions.
Imagine how many people are actually going to follow through on that now.
Well, yeah, that's a thing. And like
would actually.
So
it's so easy to click a goddamn button on a poll versus paying $5, and it goes beyond just the fact that it's $5, but also you have to go through the process of clicking additional things to watch the thing.
He said
when you could just click another thing.
But I agree.
I mean, yeah, the money's irrelevant in this case. It's.
I mean, we're Melee Stats, baby. Money's always irrelevant. We've got we got that Patreon. It's keeping us afloat.
Yeah, I can't believe I started talking about it. I promised myself I wouldn't start talking about this.
Of course, we can go on with that.
You got me.
We can go on from that. I just want to say it's a dumb idea. Anytime you ask for additional things from someone, you're gonna lose people.
Yeah.
It can be anything. It's like, how many people have their credit card information stored where they can just pay $1 easily? You're asking for, that's hard for children.
True.
If you're under 18 or 16.
That's actually a very good point I hadn't even considered.
Like, you're really hurting that. Or like even someone who's above that age and has their credit card information easily stored. If I say my friend, you gotta check out this Melee tournament, dude. It's like the biggest one of the year. All the top players are going to be there. I know you've never watched Melee before, but check this one out. And they like open the stream and it says, you must pay $1 or whatever. I think like probably a lot of people just click out if they saw that.
They used to do quality options for StarCraft.
Yeah,
you
would like
the
get
high quality options behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know. It's kind of a bad game for it to be too, because StarCraft's kind of hard to watch on low quality. It's difficult to see what's going on a lot of the time. You have to rely on the commentators.
Maybe you get
That's just an aside.
you get the thumbnails for free. Maybe that's it.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
But yeah, so sorry
Get the player cams only for free.
Oh, that'd be great.
No gameplay. Oh, imagine you get everything but the gameplay. You just watch when it cuts to commentators. They talk about ads. You can watch that, but no gameplay.
I think that's a great idea.
All right. We've fixed it. HBox, your idea is genius. Just make this one tweak.
Still call it the box clause, though.
Yeah. You can keep the name. It's too good of a name. I don't know. How could we possibly replace it?
How could we possibly? Yes. Well, we've been talking about a lot of scary things this
spooky app.
past hour. Very spooky. I think that this is going to be one of the episodes that the people won't like as much.
That's
but
fair.
I
feel like a top player is going to tweet at me.
That would mean that a top player would have listened.
No, it means that someone
A snitch.
who's a snitch. Yeah.
Well, we know
Who's snitching?
We know the Melee Stats opinion on snitches.
Yeah. Well, what's the official stance again? Refresh it for everyone.
Well, we are not scabs.
Mm-hmm.
We are not snitches.
No snitches.
We are Zamu fans.
Yes, of course.
Someone did mention, so the other, like a week after, or 2 weeks after that episode, I did talk about Martha Stewart on an episode for some reason. I think we mentioned, it was the episode you were on, we mentioned insider trading.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I want to mention Martha Stewart, MS, Melee Stats, MS. Both Martha Stewart and I are not snitches.
That's what I'm talking about.
Martha Stewart is, to use a term that I think is not cool to use anymore, but she is the Melee Stats spiritual animal.
Oh, yeah, you're riding a fine line by going for that one.
And maybe this, we talked about it earlier in the episode, maybe this is when I get canceled.
Yeah, wow. It all comes full circle.
And then
I'm going to be shocked if most people get past the beginning of this episode.
There's a couple humps to overtake. It's like getting on a camel.
Honestly, if you're still listening at this point, I'm so proud of you. I appreciate it.
It's the real G's.
Yeah.
That person who's hashtag friend of the show responding to tweets. That person who says we should get you on the show.
Of course.
You usually will listen to every episode. You're one of the more voracious fans.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the most recent one yet.
That's okay.
I've listened to most of the other ones.
Edwin listened to it and live messaged me his thoughts on it, which included him saying, why does this have under 150 viewers? And I said, bro, I asked you to put it on Reddit and you did not. I asked you to be on and you did not.
Oh, we need an Edwin episode. He's finally got time again, doesn't he?
How he looks at his time is so incredible to me. It is probably something that if Stephen Hawking were still alive, which I think he's dead, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, and there's no way for us to find out.
Once again, there's no way to know. If he were still alive, I think he would be fascinated with Edwin, because Edwin will, anytime I ask for something from him, his an hour and a half for the podcast, or whatever it might be, or 2 minutes to post on Reddit. Anything I ask of him is always suddenly he's married and he doesn't have time.
Oh God, he's got great excuses now. He can just mold his schedule in your eyes however he sees fit. He's
sending this to me at 2 p.m. I know he's at work. Just say you're at work and you can't do it. That's a better excuse.
Yeah, honestly.
I'm sorry. My marriage is in the way of me posting on Reddit. Yeah, anytime I ask for something, he's married, and then I'll see him post in the Melee Stats Podcast Discord server, and he'll say I'm gonna start writing rate your music reviews.
No, I saw that.
It's man, what you just said the other day you don't have enough time for me, and now he's doing this shit all the time.
Can we get everyone who's actually still listening to just please find the best way that you can to contact Edwin? There's a lot of different forms.
I don't know if I want him to get the impressions.
Oh, no impressions. All right,
this
stay off
becomes
Twitter.
A big issue.
Stay off Twitter.
You write to
join
him.
the Melee Stats Discord.
Yeah.
Or, hold on. Okay, Edwin's address is 642. Write a letter. No, okay.
It's just 642.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, join the Melee Stats Podcast Discord server, of which the link to join is going to be in the description, and harass him for
Yeah.
this specifically. But if you wanted to harass him about anything else, Melee Stats would probably be on your side.
Yeah, it's an open server. You can just join. There's some rules, but they don't really apply to when you're messaging Edwin. So
Yeah, obviously, we try to be very thoughtful and considerate of what we say. But the second you do at Edwin Budding, that kind of
that goes out the window.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Anyone can come in and kind of kick his shit around.
Yeah, that's fun.
Webs, we've been talking a lot about Melee.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about Melee adjacent things.
I mean,
Should
like
we talk
I
about
said,
actual Melee?
this is a skinny weekend.
Skinny weekend.
Was there anything that you'd like to talk about before we part ways into the
Let's
dark
just
Halloween night?
make note of a few things.
Okay.
So what tournaments we got this weekend?
Well, I think we're looking at House of Pain 20. I want to say 22.
House of Pain 22.
I think that's going to have Lucky and Moki. So House of Pain is always really cool. It's a Champagne tournament series where they fly out a lot of interesting top players. It's usually just like one or two at a time, but it really adds to some cool things, especially how they play with the local Midwest talent.
Mm-hmm. There's I know there's some other out of state players coming as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think this one is one of the most
it's pretty deep.
Yeah, I like to use a phrase that I've been using a lot. I think one of the most stacked ones in terms of out of region talent. I think they end up getting a lot of people from different walks of life.
So it's let's see, Lucky, Moki,
Spark is going.
Rio Beat.
Yeah, he actually got flown out. I think he said this was the first event that flew him out, that's super simple. That's cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah.
Wait for an event.
That's another really cool thing that the House of Pain series, between Chicago and Champaign, Illinois has been amazing at bringing out of state players in for their events. House of Pain has done a great job of reaching out to like those mid to high level players, the ones who are rising or have a good shot at making that top 50 area. Players who have had good results and people are impressed by. And same, the old Chicago series that Ro used to run. Eden was the big one that he ran, where he brought a bunch of players out. And before that, it was the I'm actually blanking. I was stalling for time to remember. What's the other monthly that he used to run?
Remember? What's the Chicago monthly that he used to run in your
I know
area?
It's crushing me that I can't remember the name of it right now.
Ride or Pie.
It's a good Chicago joke right there. You know it. You're just torturing me.
I'm sure we will. If whoever says it, we will both know it.
Oh my god, I'm so mad right now.
We will both recognize it. Rubicon.
Yes. Holy God, how do I forget that?
Yeah.
But yeah, Rubicon always brought out awesome players as well.
Off the top of my dome, by the way.
Good job. Yeah, that was impressive.
No, I didn't look anything
You love
up.
to see it. You love to see
that is one thing I want to talk about.
Then now, hold on. I was almost on the thought. And now hold that L is the
hold that L, yes.
Ensuing. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I don't like shit up while I'm doing this podcast. I'm going off the dome with all these. When I talk about people losing to weird people, that's off the dome.
That's impressive.
It is the most impressive thing I could do in my life, which makes it a lot less impressive.
It removes the esteem a lot.
I
actually wish I didn't know that second part.
I'm sure I mentioned this on the podcast, but I hung out with Slime. He's a great guy, but one time I was hanging out with him and he said, "What's the game that you're best at?" And I was like, "I think it's Melee." This was like after I lost a bunch of friendlies 2 in a row.
Yeah. You play Peach, right?
I would consider myself a Peach main. I don't think I play her the most. I don't play her a ton in friendlies.
But you consider yourself a Peach main all the same.
It's the easiest thing to say.
All right.
That I'm a Peach main.
I got you.
But yeah, you're mentioning the House of Pain. Obviously, they have a lot of great talent that they fly out, but it's really incredible to see how they mesh with the talent from the local area. So we have like Dreffin, Boyd. So we have a couple of Ohio players. Obviously, Kells, Zamu. Those are people from Illinois. Yeah, like Jake, another Ohio player. We're gonna see a lot of high level talent, from not only out of region but in the region itself. So I think that's a really good event.
One cool thing to note is that Andale is signed up for it.
Enlighten me.
Do you know who Andale is?
I'm saying enlighten me.
Okay, Andale. He's not signed up for singles. He's only signed up for doubles. But he's like one of my favorite players of all time. He's a Central Illinois player. I believe he still lives in the Peoria area. You might catch him on net play, and he is the guy who beat Dart's ass before Dart was good. And then even when Dart got good, he would still like do well against Dart. Like he's an incredible player. For a long time, him and Hindog used to just goof around and run like double DK doubles.
Nice.
And sometimes they would play their actual doubles team too, which was Falco Puff, and he landed some of the nuttiest rests. But he plays like the cast. He's a really cool guy, and I wonder actually who he's teaming in doubles with now that I think about it.
That's really fun.
Let's look into this. But I was just excited when I saw him entering, so I was like, oh, I gotta bring this.
That's sick. I want to say, when I told you to enlighten me, it reminded me of a time when I saw someone who I went to high school with. I saw them on the Ocean City, New Jersey boardwalk. They were working on the boardwalk. And I walked past them because we didn't really hang out a ton in high school, but I was like, yeah, well, let me say something. And I say, hey, Bobby, it's me. And he like shakes my hand. He's like, oh. And then he says, familiarize me. It's been stuck in my brain. The onus is suddenly on me to like be memorable. And it's not like, I've never seen someone, obviously we've all been in this situation, especially when you're out of high school and you see people from high school. Everyone's been in this situation where you don't recognize the person.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's always felt bad to be the person who doesn't recognize the other person. Suddenly I'm like the one who feels bad because I'm like, shit, I guess I didn't really do enough to be remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's teaming with Wang Chang.
Interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Wang Chang. I think Wang Chang, I hope he gets to your level of commentary. Your level of
esteem.
Well, I think you used to be kind of a button-up guy, and now you're doing whatever feels right.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, that's because I used to think that Melee had a future. For like, I could be like a commentator and like do it as a profession.
Yeah.
And then in like the end of 2016, I was like, probably not going to happen.
That's when the Chicago Cubs hat started coming out.
Yeah, I like it. Cubs hat, baby.
But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Wang Chang rocking not shaving for 2 weeks and some old army jacket.
He's an accountant, I think. So unlikely.
Well, we'll support him for a couple weeks with the Melee Stats podcast money. We'll make sure that he can take a vacation and just kind of make himself dirtier for the screen.
So the other event was Canada Cup.
There's not much going on at Canada Cup.
There's not really anyone attending that. It's on the west coast of Canada, isn't it?
There's a couple different reasons why they're just kind of staying away from it. S2J's going. That's obviously going to be cool. I think Soonsei is going. A couple other players are going. I love when international or when people from the U.S. go to international events. But like, I don't know about this one. There's not really a ton of people going. But yeah, I think that it's probably something that we might need to talk about. Oh my God, there's a tornado warning.
Where you are?
Yeah.
Jeez, careful. Watch out for flying tornadoes.
I might sub-goal going out in the tornado. I think I have nothing to lose.
And then not go out.
and then actually, I'll go to a different tornado. Next time we have a tornado, I'll go. Trust me.
Yeah. I'll be the first one.
I'll be yeah. See me signed up to go out in the tornado.
So funny. my God.
Yeah, but so to get a little less funny, talking about Melee, obviously I did mention S2J, who's going to be there. Blade-wise, and I think that's really it for top 100 players, but you get SB and Sunsei, who I think are that level, and then it's not a lot of people. Sean. Egg Money, I think, is like a... Where's Egg Money? Is he Utah? Quaff. Krinsky.
Oh, I know that name.
This is getting less and
We're
less.
getting deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a who's who of the west coast of Canada. So
I hope it's one of those events where...
SB's really good. I want to see more of SB.
SB's great. I think SB could beat Blade-wise.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely.
SB's great. Sunsei is super good in the Fox Ditto, so seeing him versus SB will be really sick.
SB actually ran a real good set against SFAT at Big House in the Fox Ditto.
And yeah, he had a super close set against Chudad at main stage. I think he's in that level of top player where just waiting for the breakout.
Yeah, he's primed.
Primed for the breakout.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope it's one of these tournaments where like it's kind of top heavy. So like you have these huge, like the stream is like huge and the production's super high, and then it's like top 8 and it's a couple top players, and then it's like some fucking like local hero who sneaks their way in.
Yep.
God, I love
those. Are kind of fun too, though. I like.
They're
those.
Great. Oh my God, I love tournaments
like
where like the winner semi is just like H box and like Leffen, and then you look down at like losers quarters and stuff, and it's like, who is this guy? This guy's like fifth on his power rank.
Iori is the third seed at the event, you know.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
So this will obviously, it's not without its charm, but for anyone who's kind of looking for what this weekend's gonna have, this might not be the big one.
Oh well, can't win them all, huh?
Cannot win them all.
Yeah. And by win, I mean have large Melee tournaments.
Can't always be thick. If everyone's thick, then no one's thick.
Yes. Wow. Words to live by. Oh my God. Just wise.
I mean, I would ask if you'd like to plug anything after that, but I assume that you would just repeat the sentence that I told you.
It's not that I could think of anything else even that I need to plug. It's just like, that's all you need to know in life.
Well, yeah. Well, your Twitter...
Nobody's thick.
If everybody's thick, nobody's thick. Yes. Your Twitter is well-trod territory on this show. Obviously, we know that it's Web Smash.
2 S's in the middle.
2 S's. I did say Web Smash.
Yep. It's okay. That's why I say 2 S's in the middle. So
yeah.
It's just part of it. Slime made fun of me for... No, it wasn't Slime. At Big House, when I plugged my Twitter at the end of my block with Slime, the production stream runner, TD, the technical director, Nikki of Melee Every Day, he started cracking up because I pronounced webs and smash very distinctly, like different from one another.
Hey, you gotta.
I'm like, dude, it's practical. People, they're gonna follow the wrong account. Although I don't think web smash is anything.
I might get on that.
Yeah, you might just hold on. I might want to beat you to the punch real quick.
Get off the runoff followers.
No, it isn't anything.
But yeah, so people can follow you there. If they want to follow Web Smash, anything could happen. And unfortunately, this time I don't think that we're going to get you to buy a water bottle or any other accessory. But
dude, I've been using that water bottle. It's sick.
That's what I want to hear. I think the fans want to hear how the water bottle's with a puzzle piece that's been in your life.
The Mario Vogue water bottle.
It's pretty great, and you bring that to work, right?
Yeah, I've actually been bringing it to work. It's big, which is what I like, and it's a stainless steel one. So what I do is I fill it 3/4 with water, and then I leave it overnight, and in my car. And it's been so cold that it's like, well, tonight it'll actually be frozen. Now that I think about it, I might want to take it out. But it's been so cold lately that in the morning I go there and the water's just like ice. Oh, it's so nice. Anyway.
That does sound good.
It's great.
I think it's kind of crazy how you bring that in and your office doesn't get distracted by the, frankly, pretty hot drawings of Peach and Daisy and Rosalie.
Yeah.
Pauline, I think, is in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really hit pretty much every Mario character.
Yeah, I really don't know how you're able to bring that to work without everyone getting all hot in the collar.
I just gotta hide it a little bit. It's the only way.
But yeah, I think that's lovely to hear. For Melee Stats, I guess, we plugged that you can come into the Melee Stats Patreon or podcast Discord server, and you can just rail on Edwin.
Yeah.
He probably
feel
won't
free.
accept it, but he will if you are a patron, which you could do so at patreon.com/Melee Stats.
Yeah, what's he gonna do then?
he literally cannot do anything. Those are his morals.
Yep. Money.
Money is his moral.
Yep.
If we're all thick, no one's thick.
Yep.
Well, I think this has been a really fun episode. A very fun, short episode, as we said.
Yeah, it wasn't short. What did we end up being? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. That's not terrible. Is it? Is that terrible?
If we're
Ooh,
recording
it's
hour and a half
terrible.
episodes on the off weeks,
Yeah.
this is our chance to record slim ones.
Here's the problem: is you keep having me on the show, and when I'm on the show, it's very hard for us to do a short episode because I'm just gonna talk like a dumbass for way too long.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be a dumbass and not cut you off.
Yeah, we're both just a couple of moron idiot losers.
I mean, we're having trouble ending the show right now.
I know. All right, should we just hard cut right now?
We could. Should I Thanos snap?
Oh, just snap into the mic. Just do it.
For Melee Stats, give me that treat. Thank you for listening.